Talk a little
100%.
bit like what happened post college and how I transferred off to Seattle, had a short look in arena ball, tried out for the Seahawks, tried to get in their mini camp in 2009. That didn't work out, and just kind of how I even got into the world of supplements.
Yeah.
Right? But were you so you were a freshman when I was a senior, or?
Yeah, so I came up to, me and Steve were both running backs, baby. I was in the old RB group with George Papa Giorgio.
RIP, man. RIP, man.
Real life.
Yeah, he was a good guy, man. I don't know if I ever met a coach dude, whenever he would get pissed off and have that like fucking high squeal, and usually he was yelling at Steen and me, is yelling at Steen because he knew how good Steen was, yelling at me because I was just some piss on freshman, But I think it was, what was that, 2006 season? I would have been there with you guys, and I redshirted and stuff.
Well, I graduated in 2006, so I was not even playing in 2006. So I was 2005.
Well, I graduated high school in 2005. So then I went to Benedictine my first year.
So you were there my senior year. Okay, great.
Your senior year, yeah.
That last year, then I graduated at 6. And Benedictine was an interesting time in my life, man, because it was like, I think we're recording around, coming out of high school, thinking that you're going to go, to a Power 5 school at the time. I was, trying to get into Cal. I got into a little bit of trouble. I had to kind of reset my life, went the JUCO route. Shout out to Laney College, Laney Eagles. If you've seen Last Chance U on Netflix, I got a small little cameo actually in the Hall of Fame, for them. And we went into that. I'll maybe talk about that later. But they had this induction and celebration last year. I had my family there. So getting recruited, you think you're going to go to this big school. Coach Papa Giorgio pulls up to the school and sells about how amazing Benedictine is. And my mentor at the time just said, hey, man, they're one of the top 100 schools in the country education-wise. You should go explore it. So I go out there without even taking a visit, just choose to go out there. And at first, I really just wasn't, happy.
Wild man. That's a wild man choice, buddy. Come out to Kansas, answers in Kansas.
I think everybody, I think that's how George got everybody. I think everybody just went out there. I don't think anybody really visited. I think Mike T might be the only person that visited.
Yeah, or else just some fucking corn-fed boys from Maryville, Missouri. Me and like 4 of my buddies were at the visit, and we're all undersized from a class 3 school in Missouri. So we're like, wait, this is a college offer. Then to come to find out, college offer at a private school is worse than a walk-on at a goddamn public school. So then I got more debt from that than I did, because I'm not like you guys. I wasn't balling. You guys are big names, so you guys got money coming in. I didn't get shit. And then we went in there, but Benedictine, it was a good place. What's your size? What's your measurements, Cap?
Well, I was joking around the room. I was like, hey, I'm 5'9", 180 solid. I remember Godmar said solid, and that's what I said. But now I've said, what else? Well, I'm at 210 now, but at that time I was only 180. But I wore it well, just through just the muscle and the strength and the regimen, and even talking back on supplements. We're on the old school Cell Tech back in the day.
Cell Tech, baby,
pulling up the muscle with that creatine.
Old Muscle Tech.
Yeah, Muscle Tech product and all that. But yeah, Coach Stammers had us going hard in the weight room, and that's just one place I just always strived at, was in the weight room. So I always loved that.
So you were only 5'9"?
Yeah.
Damn, bro. When I was there, we were basically the same height then, but I'm like looking at you like you're a god. Like you and Cena looked at you guys like you were gods, because you were cornerback. I played running back at the time. So obviously I got to see Steen every day working. And then I just remember Steen having like fucking tree trunk legs, dude, and running through people. But I remember you on defense. You were nasty, dude. You were a dog. And when I went down to Southern, I'm the same. I'm like 5'8", 3/4. Now, I played my senior year like 205 because they wanted me gaining weight. But I started for 4 years. I played nickel and dime when I first went down there. And even though I was probably one of the shortest guys on the field every time, like I led the MIAA in personal fouls for 2 seasons. So I was a dog. And so I always, it reminded me of Cap, because Cap was fucking at practice, just jamming receivers up and things like that. And I always respected the shit out of you guys also for how hard you worked in the weight room. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he probably was one of the hardest hitting undersized DBs. I definitely would give him that, bro, for sure. In all mine, he never shied away from it, no matter how much film he seen on me and none of that. Like I said, for size, he definitely was one of the. Because I used to look at DBs like, if you weigh my weight, boy, I'm about to bring this heat to you.
As running backs, you're supposed to, if you see it, you're not supposed to let a DB tackle you. That's like the mindset. Like, you're not supposed to let a defensive back tackle you. Like, if you one-on-one DB, you either make a miss or you running smooth the fuck over, right?
Yeah.
And that was the mindset. But you know, I just came from that Oakland soil where defense. We had a defensive coordinator at my JUCO. It started in high school, but at my JUCO, he was like, "You will not step on the field on my defense if you can't tackle. If you're afraid to hit, like get off the damn field. Period."
Yeah.
So it kind of carried over through life, right, in that mindset. So yeah, no, that was that.
Yeah.
Bring that wood.
Well, and I love my nephew. I don't want to talk shit on him, so I don't really consider this shit. But he's, you know, he's 6'6". I'm like, buddy, if I was your height, I'd be in the NFL, sir. But he's 6'6". He's only like 185, but he plays quarterback, and they were talking about moving him to D end or tight end. And I'm like, I love my nephew, but he don't want to hit people. And he don't like to get hit. So unless you like that contact, like I tell my clients, you can't train kids. That's why flag football and all this stuff is good right now. 7-on-7 tournaments are great because now you limit concussions, you limit these fucking Oklahoma drills where you're just bashing each other. I have a crushed C5 vertebrae from these Oklahoma drills and stuff like that. My senior year, I had to get a medical redshirt pass from the Chiefs doctor to play my last season in college because my neck injury, and I had to wear like this prototype neck roll. It was almost like the NASCAR neck roll that wraps around your neck. So it lets you turn your head, but then if you get banged, it keeps your neck upright. But my nephew, I just said, you know, he's not going to be aggressive. You can't teach aggression. So with these kids, when they're like, well, they needed to learn how to tackle, I'm like, they're going to learn how to tackle and either love it. And then you don't even need them to do it another year because you can have them do these things that will be safer on their brain. CTE is a real thing.
No, it is.
But the kids that don't like it, you're not going to have them hit more. And then all of a sudden, just one day, they're going to be like, oh, I like banging, bro. I like fucking banging.
You think it too?
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
always been real. I think, you know, obviously, but the more you talk about stuff, the more it brings it out. I even got a good friend, Lori Malloy, played in the NFL for 15 years.
It's one of my favorite
champion.
safeties. One of my favorite safeties.
One of my closest dogs up here, you know, and he's you know, I think he just hit 50 and he's fine, nothing too wrong, you know, at all. But, you know, he's very mindful. He's always kind of talk about it. He's like, hey man, like I don't know, you know, because he was one of those, you know, those lumber bringers. But I do believe the more we talk about it, sometimes what you speak about, you bring about. So if you're able to like be positive about like, hey, I don't have this problem, I'm able to work through it. But then there's also the part of the actual reality. Like you could talk all you want and there may be some truth, you know, that, you know, what actually truly happened with banging your head. It's like a train wreck every single day.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure of it now that you think about it.
Well, especially
so
think about
glad that a lot
think
of the
about DB
people,
Cap. DB, I was playing safety, you're playing corner, we're coming 10 to 15 yards deep, full sprint, and especially you're running an alley, you have an angle where you don't have to worry about a bunch of shit. So you're bringing that heat. If you like to hit, you're bringing that heat. So that's a lot of like boom, boom, boom on every
I think
play,
for the
man.
young people, if you can get them into like sports like wrestling and jiu-jitsu, like you get that aggression out from a low impact standpoint, but you got to learn how to build a strong neck. You got to learn how to have great posture, great position, great head, you know, and I used to actually wrestle in high school, and I think that helped me have a lot better leverage and position.
For sure.
So I'll be in better position on the tackle than probably the average person. So I think if you get young people into that before they actually go to full tackle, I don't believe they should play tackle until they're in middle school or up to high school. You know, just showing the data that's showing these kids are so young, running into each other is probably not the best thing for them. And then, but you get them in some type of like combat, low impact, but very physical and aggressive. I even remember the Fertitta brothers who, you know, were part of UFC. They had their sons going to Bishop Gorman in Vegas, and they had them, you know, grappling and wrestling. And in one game, this one kid, his shoulder get popped out. He comes out on the sideline, pops his shoulder back in, goes right back out there. It's because of the mindset he had as a young kid, been on that mat.
Finish it, got to finish it,
Well, I can tell you at Northwest Missouri State, I went back to grad school and I coached at Northwest. Like when we recruit, you want wrestlers. I got second and third in the state of Missouri in wrestling. And like you said, that's why I transitioned from running back. I actually played safety, obviously, at Northern Missouri Southern. So, you know, that multi-sport athlete, that's what the coaches are looking for too. They're not looking for one sport athletes. They're looking for multi-sport athletes. If you come in and you say, oh, this guy's really good and he's about right here, and this guy's really good and he's about right here, but this guy does track and he does wrestling and he does football, you're always going to take that kid is that multi-sport athlete. You know, you got the disciplines like you're saying, Cap, but then you also got the fundamentals of certain sports that are going to aid you. And that's 100% why you were a dog at corner, bro, because you knew how to take people down. So you knew where body weight, body distribution, all that type of stuff. What sports did you do in high school, Sting? You did football.
Like I said, man, we down in the South, bro. You got to pick. You know what I mean? And I'm up here with my son as we speak. You know what I mean? And just trying not to limit him, trying not to feel like, you know what I mean, it's football or nothing, you know what I mean? Because that's what I know. Like right now, the kid ain't never played baseball since T-ball and shit. He almost over the fence with it right now, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
like I
Yeah.
said to you, bro, I don't think I ever hit a baseball, bro, being thrown at me. You know
Well,
what I mean?
that's where, like, what Cap was saying, man, get him in some wrestling, bro. We're
Oh,
wrestling.
I mean, like I said, but those are things that are big here. Man, there wasn't no
Yeah.
opportunities in New Orleans. Boy, you played basketball or football.
Yeah, yeah.
And you might have had a little baseball going on. You heard me, one of your uncles played it, but it was a city sport, so you had to pay for it.
Yep.
Got
You
it.
know what I
Got
mean? Which was another issue. Like I said, down there, bro, you picked a sport and you got really good at it. I don't care which one it was, but you know what I mean? Your mama, your dad was most likely like, pick one, that's what I'm paying for.
Well, you
Yeah, when you
also
look at in the Black community, and obviously even, you know, certain communities that are inner city that may not have the finances, they found a way to subsidize football. Where football would be an expensive sport because of all the equipment, but they found a way to subsidize it for, you know, young inner city kids to be able to play that. But you look
Shit,
at
probably the
baseball,
only one.
yeah, but
Probably the only one.
yeah, like baseball, once again, still equipment, not as much equipment as football, but they found a way to subsidize the pads and all that. They've invested in that for that community. But baseball, more expensive sport, it's very difficult to travel. Basketball, all you need is a ball. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's a lot easier to go, even with soccer, but we're not guided towards soccer, right? So you look at the sports that are a little bit more easier and affordable for kids to get into. Tennis, like, you know, once again, another expensive sport to get into for the training and where you have to go play tennis at. So that's a whole other
football
topic we can
is crazy expensive. Helmets and like I
Yeah.
had to buy my own shoulder pads because my neck injury and all that. So I bought like some in-cut wide receiver type pads, and they wouldn't give me wide receiver pads playing DB. So I had to fucking get my own. It was like, I don't know, it was like 400, 500 fucking bucks for those pads. That's the thing though, is sometimes, I don't play devil's advocate here, they're grooming our youth, obviously, to get up into that position. Why else would you subsidize? Baseball's way cheaper. To give them a glove and give a glove last. I still have my glove from when I played high school ball, bro. It still lasts. But they don't look what NFL, and it's amazing what they do. I'm not taking away the benefits they do, but look at what NFL does overseas and trying to find people in Africa and Germany and all this stuff. Yes, they want to give those people opportunities. That's the positive spot. They also want to go fucking whore out anybody they can that's going to make their entertainment better. That's what the NFL is. It's entertainment.
Yeah,
you know,
it's all entertainment.
yeah, so that's where you got to think. That's just what strikes me a little bit is like, hey, there's other sports. Like you said, basketball, you play for a ball, you don't need nothing else. There's hoops everywhere. You could put a hoop up, it stays
Soccer, all that.
Shit, you could put a rim up. You could put a bike tire rim up for a hoop. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even soccer, football around the world. Once you travel the world, you see how many people actually play soccer, which is the true football across the world. And you don't even have to speak the same language. All you got to do is kick the ball. And now we're brothers. Now we're connected. Now we're
That's how they go in the Premier League and shit. Some of them are Spanish and French and Portuguese
all over the
and
world.
Hey,
Brazilian.
So demographically, where I am, it's probably like 75, maybe 80% Hispanic.
Yeah.
So my little man, he go to school. You know what I mean? Majority Hispanics. Now this cat got him a soccer ball, and he think he Ronaldo. But hey,
it's
but
great.
you got
It's great conditioning.
I'm not upset with him, Cat. But you gotta certain things you gotta let go, cause my man's built like. My man's built like he ain't even supposed to ever touch a soccer field. Like, I seen him in the baseball pants. I'm like, look, hey, we gonna have to get him some grown man pants. My man's out here holding on these 10-year-olds, man. But like I said, man, baseball is up right now. Football, I'm gonna do the wrestling thing, man. It's big out here though. Like they got teams. Yeah, it's kind of political out here.
No, it is. In those rural areas, you know, small towns, like wrestling is big, you know.
So like, between him, this in Oregon, like Washington and Oregon got a big battle going, bro. Like it's super political out here on the wrestling scene.
And that's one of the things where if you get him in and he loves it, great. But if he don't love it, get him. It's like football. Like if you don't love football, get him out of here. Like you don't want him doing something he don't love, he don't want to do. But it's like there's an old saying: once you wrestle, you're ready for everything else in life. Because the one thing I loved about wrestling in high school, my high school team for the first 2-3 years, we weren't that good. But in football, in wrestling, I became a champion. And you learn that, hey, You can't point the finger at nobody else. Like,
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
right. One on one.
my safety wasn't over top. You know, the coach won the wrong play. It's like, nah, it's you.
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you missed that leg. Like you got
Yeah.
pinned. Like, you know,
Right.
so it really teaches that side of it. And yeah,
Sheesh.
so it could be dope.
Hey, wait, once you put it like that, I'm about to roll him in there one time, see if he can get his stone cold on, man.
All you got to do too, Mike, you can buy some mats. That's what I do for Olivia. Olivia's 4. So I got mats that were, my buddy does Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I did Hapkido and have my black belt, but then I wrestled too. So I go in there and do some grappling, and then we'll do like gymnastic shit, like somersaults, cartwheel. We'll try to do shit like that. But then I'll show her like single leg, rear naked choke, just so you don't even have to necessarily be trained in it. You can watch a YouTube video, bro, and they can show you the steps, and you can show your son some of those steps right there. And then if he gets real into it, you try to get him to good schools with good coaches, and it'll really help out. That's why Sam's like, why don't we go pay for somebody? I'm like, half these fucking people down here in Florida, it's like a after school program. It ain't real. Like when I got my black belt, we were like doing push-ups on our knuckles. We're breaking boards with our fucking hands and feet. We were doing real deal shit. So like some of the shit that you'll look at is like, it is a daycare program. So you can do a lot of stuff. You just get a couple of mats, bro, those little foam interlocking mats, and that's enough weight for him to do like shots and stuff like that. I had a class at my studio with about 3-4 kids, like 4 to 6, that came over, and we did like wrestling and stuff like that. So you don't even have to be super well versed, because when they're that young, it's simple shit like duck under, single leg, double leg. You're not doing a bunch of crazy shit. And then if he likes it, then you just get him in place with a place that's, you know, qualified.
6-year-old, he doing jujitsu, man. He
there you go.
Right. I mean, it's similar. Like most of the throws in wrestling come from judo throws, like the lateral, the Russian spin. Oh, you're using your opponent's weight against them to take them somewhere. So it's a great martial arts to learn.
And Brazilian jiu-jitsu is basically just wrestling, but you can be on your back, and then you try for chokes and holds and shit like that. But your neutral position when you're both
PTSD, dog. I ain't going down on my back for nobody to choke
yeah, because in wrestling you never go to your back.
Yeah,
that's why a Brazilian jiu-jitsu is so weird. It's like, like
as a running back, you never go to your back. I ain't going to my back, bro. It sounds crazy to be on your back fighting for your life.
But everybody thinks BJJ's the king, but then you got all these Russian dudes in the UFC that are just wrestling, just dominating, bro. So both of the grappling techniques are great and stuff. Well, I don't want to skip over this. I want to get into your guys' company that you're interlinking with the Peptides, your buddy's company. Let's talk about that a little bit, just so we don't miss out on that. And then we can talk fitness here again at the end. But I just want to make sure we talk about a couple of things you guys are doing here.
Yeah. So I'll kick it off. You know, after college, I transitioned out and joined the corporate world. You know, you get done playing football, you're trying to find your identity and who you are, and recreate yourself. And you think that you're going to make it to that dream and make it all the way, but you don't. So I got done, and I had a mentor who was living in Seattle, and I was thinking about joining the military because my last name is Captain. So I would have came in, he's sergeant captain with a degree, right? Thought that'd have been funny. And at the time, I think we were over in Iraq and all that. My mentor was like, hey, like, you want to go over and get shot? He was like, I'll pay you more, money if you can work for me. So I moved up to Seattle, worked for him for a few years. In the process, I find an opportunity to get back into the game, playing arena football up here in the indoor football league, and played a few years, had some fun, and kept chasing it, and had the urge and had an opportunity to get in potentially the Seahawks minicamp. In 2009, when Jim Moore was here, and Will Lewis was the player personnel guy that was kind of scouting me. But in that process, when I went down to the facility, I saw some of the players using this product that helped with mental focus. And it was a company that I started to lock arms with for about 15 years. And I was with that company, helped them grow. They were about doing $500 million in sales. Collectively as a team, we helped the company grow up to almost like $1 billion in sales, had big marketing, a lot of college football game partnerships, a lot of endorsers, and was very successful. And I loved it. And I did very well for about 10 years. And then that company went through a transition. I started to partner with another smaller startup, and things weren't really kind of working well with that company. So I transitioned. I got out of the industry for about 5 years, and start doing consulting, launched a nonprofit. But I always had an urge to kind of get back because of the success I had with that one previous company. Then I had a friend who launched his company, Make Wellness, last year. When I was kind of alluding to earlier, he's kind of like the Tom Brady in this space. He's been very successful between him and his team. They've sold billions of dollars through the direct and affiliate marketing through supplementation. They had a BioCell product that they did for years. And when he came to me with this product, he wasn't trying to launch the next best protein powder or the next best, vitamin. Like my multivitamin is better than yours, your fish oil. So he wanted to get on this cutting edge where a lot of people are learning more about peptides, but he wanted to go around the plant-based peptide through the ingestible model. So at first I kind of watched him do it. Wasn't really interested at the time because I was busy focusing on other things. But at the end of last year, went through a little mild depression, put a little extra weight on, and I needed a boost for the beginning of the year. So I started with just 2 of their products. One of their products is called Fit, that helps produce NAD in your body to give you just that energy, to give you the motivation to want to show up and stay in. And it also has a metabolic matrix system in it with some co-contributing products with the peptide fava bean ingredient that helps with protecting and building muscle mass. So that was the first product I got on. Then I got on a product called Lean. Within 14 days, I just felt amazing and saw the result. And I knew I wanted to come on board and partner with them on the affiliate model. And then Steen, because we've done some stuff in the past together, he was one of the first people I reached out to and said, hey, brother, like, I think you should check out these products. I think they may help your clients out if you're looking to bring in some extra cash flow. But first and foremost, help your clients get great results. So I've been on products now since January 25th. And I tell you, I haven't missed a day of taking the Fit product just because of the NAD energy that I'm getting. And I feel like I can work out at least 30 minutes to an hour every single day with great recovery and great energy. And I've been seeing the transformation off of it.
That's awesome. Yeah, and you've been looking great, buddy. You've had a great transformation. I mean, you always look great. You never looked bad, by the way. Even when it's different with athletes though, because I coach bodybuilders. So I'm your height. Imagine yourself at 235 pounds. But
yeah, that's not good. I can't do that.
Yeah, buddy. So I did that my 2 off seasons ago here. So that's the thing is when I was at that size, I knew what I was needing to do for bodybuilding to put on muscle. So that's where the goal was at. But there's a method to the madness. But, when you look back, you're like, I don't look bad considering the general population. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're former athletes. So we're used to being the upper echelon of physiques and things like that. So you've always looked.
Once used to take me a week to 2 to bounce back. It started taking me about a month or 2, right? Just because of like where I was storing the fat was mainly in the belly area. Everything else a little soft, whatever I can get in there, pop it out. But that stomach area was really challenging for me this past 3 to 4 years. Coming out of that pandemic was kind of the start of it. But back in the day, I'll snap back like like a boomerang coming back. But as we start to hit that 40 threshold, pre 40, it gets a little bit different.
100%. Now, Mike, go ahead and talk because you're coming in and doing some stuff. Gonna implement it.
So, like I said, man, just another great opportunity. We've partnered before. I've had some success with him in one of the companies. I launched the challenge. I partnered with the company, bought the energy, bought the results, and I had a couple people stay on it for about a good 6 months. You know what I mean? So, like I said, it served its purpose for that time. I think where it allows me to join with him is like I said, I ain't really got to sell anything. You know what I mean? Like, I got this product that I've created that this product actually partners well with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like I said, I got Maggie started on it right now. And like I said, I think she ended up doing, I want to say about 10 to 12 inches somewhere, about 12 to 16 pounds in about, I want to say it was like 6 weeks. So like I said, slow, steady grind. This next phase, I think, like I said, being in this building, creating a storefront, it's kind of what I'm going to do with it this time. So, like, I'll have the product available in my store for my clients. So, you come in, instead of coming in here with all of that bullshit, rain and all of those different things, I can make the money, get them with a peptide, get them with a lean, like I said.
And that makes a huge difference from just being able, I mean, I don't want to be a dick. We all know our clientele for fitness and wellness. They're lazy. So you tell them like, hey, you can use this link and have it ordered to the house and you get blah, blah, blah. They'll buy it easier if it's at the fucking spot. Like if it's at the location, your sales are already going to be better than if you have both, it's great. But that's just how I learned that. That's why I put supplements in my first location, is because I was like, I had a website And they're like, we'll ship it for free shipping. So there was no loss for them just to order on the website with free shipping. I think it took 3-4 days, less than a fucking week. So when I put it in the place, sold them twice as quick when it was right there, readily available where they could just grab it and go. You know what I mean? So, I mean,
And that's
100.
kind of where I'm at with it, man. I probably average somewhere between like 4 to 8 people each group. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna roll out a little smoothie side of the game in this new location just because, like I said, it's a strip mall. I got about 10 businesses in there
Yeah.
with me. We share a 20,000 square foot building. So,
Well, I mean, if you check out your zoning and stuff, we did this when I owned a supplement company. You just have to have a third compartment sink, and then sometimes you can have the pre-made shakes in like a fridge and then sell them. And then obviously when you make them yourself, your profit margins even go up more than if you just have them buying the stuff. That might be even something too to kind of think about. I just know that's when we did our place, we needed something more to sell to make them there. But if we had them pre-made, then we could sell them there. But that's something too.
Business owner, obviously you're in your profession of fitness. You just want to maximize your lifetime value of your client. And if they're already purchased something, they're shaking up something, they're asking, why not come from you, from a trusted advisor, from something that you use and you believe in, whether that's, if you want to get into the meal prep side too, that's a whole other side. If you want to stand that up, we have a gal down in New Orleans who built out a kitchen because she wanted to do meal prepping, but now she's cooking all day. So she's trying to, pull back from that. And that's why she sees this as a solution to create different revenue streams so that she can eventually get to her end goal to retire one day or to just have more time to be with her family, right? So it's like maximizing that versus someone going down to the local 7-Eleven or the grocery store buying a Rockstar or a Red Bull or taking, just some Explode, some of the old school stuff, just getting their heart rate up. Why not find something that you can actually believe in that has clean ingredients, that actually works, that's going to give them just the motivation to come to the workout. And then if you see the results over time that it's actually supporting them in their results, then it's just somewhat can be a no-brainer for those folks.
100%.
and I think you also have that opportunity when you create that trust within your space of having it. Like you said, putting it in the storefront. You've been coming to me for 6 or 7 years. Obviously, now when I put this product in my store, I didn't put it there because it was, you know what I mean? It was a run of the mill, or like you said, it was a rock star or an energy drink. So, like I said, man, keeping up with the times, that's kind of what it's about in that entrepreneurial space. So maximizing it all. I'm hoping when I do my grand opening to have, you know what I mean, a sample, and that's when I'll kind of kick off my real peptide campaign.
Oh, for sure, buddy, for sure. Well, it's like you said, Mike. I don't think you could have said it better. They're already going to have supplements coming in anyway, and half the time they're Cat. This is where I get to be a prude, but they're usually clinically underdosed. You can go look at the studies, and then any good supplement. Some of them are. There is some good ones out there. Don't get me wrong. And I think you guys have a randomized controlled trial, which means you guys have a higher validity and reliability than some of these companies ever show people. So that's one of the things when you look at stuff like what you're doing is, okay, we've got these studies, and I got to look deeper into the study, but you've got even having a random humanized control trial means you're already trying to decipher if our product is the difference or if it's one of these other variables. So when they're bringing dog shit in, like I was talking with Kat before we started recording, some fucking fat burner or this or that. And it's not that all fat burners are bad. The fat burners give you more energy with certain ingredients that are inside of them. So it's the ingredient that gives you more energy. It's not that you're burning more fat from just taking it. So that's the thing is they're going to already have that dog shit. So why not have something for them there that you trust, that you have people that are within your network that trust it, right? And so I think that's a no-brainer, man. I think that's a no-brainer. I think it's a great connection. And that's a great thing with our field of space and health and wellness. There is so many streams of avenue that you can grab a hold of. Me and Mike had talked about it a lot, Cap. We talked about brick and mortar when he first set up, and we kind of brainstormed together as he opened his place, but then we did online stuff together. There's just so many streams. And if you know they're going to be bringing these dog shit supplements in, why not give them something that you actually can back and stand behind?
And I mean, like I said, to roll out a new storefront with a new storefront.
Oh, yeah.
Like I said, it just...
Yeah. Can't miss it.
Kind of comes full circle.
Can't miss that date. Everybody I've worked with on certain projects, we're like fucking a little behind schedule. So make sure you nail that. Make sure you have that shit out there, buddy.
Oh yeah, no, I'm on it, man. Like I said, I'm just waiting on all of the equipment to show up at this point, man.
Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about why don't you tell us a little bit about your new facility? Tell us what you got going on,
man.
what the new setup is, all that stuff.
I mean, you know how it is. We all kind of got those similar stories. When ball is over, what do you do? You know what I mean? Me and Cap, we have the similar degree, criminology minor and so da 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 da. So we get out, and I mean, it was a crazy world when we came out of college, man. You
Yeah,
know what I
economy,
mean?
2006, 2010, that
Yeah,
2010,
yeah,
2008,
all the way
2010.
through that. It was a crazy time. The economy was up and down. We were at war. I mean, like the uncertainty of what we were to do with what we had just acquired was crazy. You know what I mean? So I get out, I do a little bit of work in the juvie correctional space. I just found out that system is crazy, man. And at that time, I really thank my mom for never allowing me to fall into his hands. You know what I mean? It's never a race thing with that system. I don't care what color you are. Once you get in that system, especially at a young age, you're you know what I mean? You're there. So that was one of the things that kind of drove me out of that. It wasn't a lot of people who.
Well, my dad got a Bronze Star in Desert Storm, and he was the biggest person against me going into the military. Because I was thinking, like you, Cap, like I got a degree, I'm gonna go. My grandfather was in World War II, but my dad was like, you don't know who you're really fighting for. You're fighting these politicians' wars and shit. So I think you made the right decision, man.
Oh yeah, and I mean, like I said, it you get out and you find yourself. I think back to another one of our college classes. We took a business class. Man, I was in that business class like, man, I ain't never about to own no business. I ain't got, you know what I mean? I'm dismissing it because my mind is stuck on this degree or football. One of
Yeah.
these things gonna be, but it ain't gonna be business. I just took this little class to be with my partners and hear about business. So as I age within this space, I've learned a lot about business, almost to the point to where, like I said, I felt like I was working myself every time Cap hit me up, man. Yeah, man, I'm grinding, I'm da 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 da, I'm this, I'm adding this, I'm blah blah blah. So to have a group come to me and I ain't gonna say offer, I had to do some work for it, but to offer me a grant, a hand up to better my business, I mean, man, it's the greatest blessing. I mean,
That's awesome, man.
of my life, if I'm being honest, because like you said, we went to Benedictine. They gave us some money, but we had to pay some money too.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm
For somebody
excited,
to
man.
give me something and then me not have to give them an arm or a leg, you know what I mean? I feel good.
Yeah,
I think
good
bright
capital,
future. Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know.
man, I'm super pumped for you, man. Anytime you can upgrade a facility and then you group with somebody like Cap that's got a good product, I mean, it's nothing gonna be but positive for you, man. I'm super pumped, man. Super
Definitely, but
excited.
like I said, I think it's imperative that we all continue to collab. You know what I mean? I think it's imperative that we all continue to pick each other's brain just to keep each other up. What's next?
Yeah,
You know
for
what I
sure.
mean? I mean, there's so many new things. We all grew up in that dog house, get it out the weight room.
Yeah.
Well, now people can whisper and get pretty much some of the same results as long as everything lines up. Stress management, the right weight program, the right supplements, the right, you know what I mean? As long as we're still getting together and we're having these conversations like this, man, then we keep that transparency, not only between each other, but between our clients and between the people that we, you know what I mean, we interact with. And I mean, for me, I probably would throw something out there like, just touching bases, man, and like I said, trying to sit down in these spaces, have these conversations, even if it's not for the, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Like I
just
said,
the
I
mastermind.
learned a lot more about, you know what I mean, your story. I learned a lot more about Cap's story, and for me, like I said, we're all in this space. It's inspiring. It's something that makes me want to continue to be able to sit down and share my knowledge and exchange, you know what I mean, the good energy. So
And
for
there's so
sure.
much bullshit out there. So there was some chiropractor that says Dr. Oompa, I think his name was, and he's drinking his own urine, and he's got almost 1 million followers. And I'm like, what in the fuck are we
Oh, at
talking
least
about?
250,000 of them
Yeah,
drinking that
Yeah,
shit,
I
boy.
know it's over that, bro. He's
Do
at
you
least
hear
a
me? At
half
least
million.
yeah,
250K.
Yes. So
yeah.
that's where
They're
it's
talking
like,
about
hey,
that's supposed to be like the bios of your stem cell regrowth from your urine and all that, right?
Yeah. But they
my
locked
thing
R.
is, my
Kelly
thing is,
up. That's
my thing.
cold blooded, man.
But my thing is this is like, okay, it's 2025. So you can't tell me we don't have a way to derive what is good from that and use it in a product that we can make instead of just drinking your own urine.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just dive in. We'll let me and Mike pick it apart a little bit, brother. Give us, let's talk some program design and what your fitness routines been lately,
Yeah.
man.
So what I'm doing right now, I live by, I would say, I used to live by the 5 pillars of wellness, of obviously moving your body through proper exercising, proper nutrition, proper supplementation, hydration, and supplementation. But the sixth part is getting into the world of biohacking, using the sauna, cold plunge therapy, getting out in nature. So there's more holistic view of just maintaining an overall lifestyle. I don't have any specific goals where I'm trying to gain, 5 pounds of muscle, 10 pounds of muscle, or drop X percent body percent fat. I'm just trying to look better, feel better, and perform better. So what I'm doing now, I make sure that I work out, 6 to 7 days out of the week for 30 minutes, whether I'm walking, doing the treadmill incline for, 10 incline, going 3.5 miles speed on the incline. And I'm doing some type of, upper body workout on Monday between shoulders and arms and chest. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm getting some type of, leg workout in to just some type of performance. So I have my workouts kind of written out of what I'm doing on those days, but I'm doing something along that at least 6 to 7 days out of the week. And on that Saturday, I'm up early and I'm hitting them hill sprints or I'm hitting stairs. And that's really been a game changer to me, because if you want to see some results, you want to see some body transformation, go sprint some hills and call me after 4 weeks of doing that. I know you'll see some results. But, I love to hear, your guys' thoughts and what you guys do. I know you guys have some extreme systems and programs you put out there, but that's what's been working for me thus far.
No, I think from what I'm hearing is that's like perfect, because I think what people would see if they saw your photo and knew where you came from with sports and playing professionally and shit like that, I think they'd be like, he's like what we're doing for bodybuilding. No, this is a perfect split. This is like, hey, we're not worried about body fat. We're not worried about muscle gain. We're not even worried necessarily about strength. We're worried about wellness and vitality and health. So what we're worried about is just being a healthier individual. And that's where a lot of people get skewed, especially I hate showing people my bodybuilding photos for personal training reasons, because then they freak the fuck out, even though the goals may be the same: build muscle, drop body fat. But in reality, as a personal trainer, our goal is exactly what you said: health, vitality, wellness. I don't care if you have a six-pack. Is your blood work good? Is your blood pressure good? Are you eating healthy but still able to be flexible where you can have some drinks and dinners and stuff like that? Now, if your goal is to get a six-pack, okay, then we can. That's where people forget. You got beginner, intermediate, and advanced. Even though you're an advanced individual, until you have more specific goals, you don't have to get more advanced with your programming. Now, if you said, hey, I want to be 5 pounds heavier, but have a six-pack, okay, that means we got to build 5 pounds of lean body mass and drop your body fat. So now we have to talk about calorie deficit, enough protein, hypertrophy training. If we're not strong enough, maybe we have to do a mesocycle of strength. So there's all these things as you get more specific with your goals. When your goals are a little bit more broad, as such as just being healthy, then you're perfect, bro. There ain't nothing to nitpick. Now, once your goals get more detailed, that's where me and Mike could be like, okay, like the guy that trains out of my facility now that splits my facility with me, he fasts and works out fasted and fasts a majority of the day. In reality, for somebody like me, where I missed my pro card for IFBB by 5 spots at Mr. Universe, somebody like me, that's going to hinder my optimal results from building muscle. Somebody like him that was an ex-basketball player that just wants to stay in shape and an athletic build, it's working for him. So there ain't no reason to say like, hey, this is better, change it to this. Now, if he starts to say, hey, I'm not getting bigger and I want to get bigger, well, it could be because you're training fasted, you're not eating enough calories before the workout, your intensity is affected. But if your goal is like that, I think that's perfect, man. And I think that's a great message, because too many people try to get focused on these athletes where we're forced to train 3 to 4 times a week, plus skills and drills and practice and all this shit. And then bodybuilding, where a lot of people look at these bodybuilders and we're training 5 to 7 days a week, if you count cardio. And I mean, there ain't really, or sometimes I go to the gym and I foam roll and roll out on a ball. And that's a workout day, even though I'm not
mobility.
Active recovery, baby. And so that's where I think I was surprised you were going to say that, but I love that you said that, man, because I think that's somebody that looks like you and has the physique that you have, that people need to understand. Like, you don't have to go in there and do a fucking pro bodybuilding workout to get these results. You can go in there and maintain, but then your supplementation, like what you guys have been talking.
All I can say is I started back in 2022 after 2020, where I really got up to 2020, and that was tough. And I went through a hard diet. I got with this guy who was doing some program for me, so I pulled the carb out, did the whole carb cycle, and used fats as more of my ingredient. And I got really good results, but that wasn't sustainable, right? Because I couldn't sustain.
Yes.
I did that transition, and then I got back on just kind of a basic diet, doing a little bit of training, but not really consistent, no programming. And I still kind of struggled. I struggled with energy. I struggled with maintaining the results. And then I just was up and down, but still wore the weight pretty well. Like, you couldn't really tell. Wear kind of a bigger shirt and all that.
Yeah.
Face was a little bit bigger, but just kind of lost that that vitality, like you said. But I said start in January. The one thing I can just hang my hat on with the Fit product, and I would love for you to even be open to try it one day personally for yourself.
For sure, for sure.
Like literally the NAD energy that I'm getting from it, like, because we all have NAD levels in our body, but in our 40s we start to produce less of it, right? So we can get a little bit of help with that. You can do that naturally through certain types of food, through training and all that, right? Even with testosterone, you can help boost stuff naturally. But
I think I don't want to cut you off, but I think that's a great segue real quick, is that hormones could play a big role, but if you're not willing to do, like I've had clients where I told them like, hey, go talk to the doctor, hormone replacement therapy, and then they're like, oh, I got to get a shot, and I'm like, well, and then so if they can't, sounds like a
great solution. So it's a non-invasive solution over needles, where a lot of people are running to needles sometimes too early, right?
Yeah,
especially in this Ozempic world, in this testosterone world, and it's like, hey man, before you go do that, let's try to do this naturally, and supplementation is a way to do it, and that's what they're doing with these, extracting these peptides from nature to bring them in. But I've done the IV nap before, and that thing will make you hallucinate if you do it too fast. If you get it going in your veins too fast,
and it's straight in there.
But you could feel like you're hyperventilating, right, through the IV side. So they have to. So it may take like an hour to get it in, right? So I didn't like that, so I never did that. To get it in one time, and just recently, because I've been using this product, I want to see how the injection felt, because I got a buddy who's doing injections, and the gal, she shot me in my arm, and my arm was so sore for the rest of the day, and I was like, I don't know if I want to do that consistently every 3 to 4, 5, 6 days, right? That's the cycle you got to do. So I've really been enjoying just doing the supplementation, shaking up in the morning, tastes like an orange juice, natural flavoring, and it's been giving me the vitality and the energy to get through the day and have the desire to want to go. Because I think the heaviest weight you'll ever lift when you're just getting started is the front door of the gym. That's the heaviest weight that most people struggle with, right? Front door, right? And if we can get people through the front door and keep showing back up, they're going to get some type of results. Like, now are they going to get the actual body they want? You know the science, you got to break all that down. But just getting people to show up and stay coming is so important. So that's why I really been loving that Fit product.
I know, I love it, man. And like you said, that when people ask me questions, they're like, should I do this? Should I strength train? What reps should I do? How long do I rest? I'm like, just get your fucking ass in that motherfucker first. And then once you start showing me you can show up, then we can start like, bitch, you got a long ways to go before we start breaking down rest times and supersets. And
they want macros done already in the first day. You don't even plan on doing 3 days a week.
That's what we do. Mike worked with us with Ready to Win, and we do macros and calories, and a lot of these fuckers won't post the shit. And you're like, now we do it as an online business to cover our asses, to where somebody tries to say, oh, we didn't lose weight on your program. Be like, bitch, hey, you didn't fucking, I can take a picture of every fucking day, and you did post but 5 times in an 8-week period. So that's on you, motherfucker, not on us. But that's the thing, is where, people, especially in this space with the supplements, that's a great, I love training. Mike loves training, I'm sure, but it's so much harder to get them in to do the hard work, where they could take a supplement. But just like you said, your supplement's a great supplement, it sounds like.
They don't do that. It doesn't solve the problem.
But you still got to get in there and do that work. And so that's one of the things over the years that I've had trouble with.
Ain't about to hit you like no Ozempic, boy. Like I said, that almost.
Yeah, that's from the Beauty Monster.
Sunk the personal training world, boy.
Well, you look at him and her, they ran a Super Bowl commercial. Like literally that's the world that we're in now. And regardless, and that could be a solution for those people who need that, right? That was really for diabetics, for obese people.
Yeah, no, I'm not knocking it,
but not my former clients that needed to lose 15, 20 pounds. Exactly. Sam's coworker that needs to lose 12 pounds. I'm like, because there is a place for it, just like you said, but come on, too many people, they want that easy, just fucking.
Yeah. And
it went crazy. It went crazy.
And it's still going. I mean, they're still running commercials and ads, and everyone's running that way. But sustainability, when they get off of it, have they learned the behavior? So be careful of anyone who's just talking about swallow a pill and potion or just take this shot, and that's it. If that's all they're talking, run away as far as possible, because it is a holistic part of your process.
Right.
What we do, me and Mike, as trainers, and with your supplement company that you're working with and everything, Mike's going to be working with, the Ozempic people still need us, bro. They still need us, because
they still need to build that muscle, protect that muscle.
There was a girl that had osteoporosis, couldn't have been older than the mid-30s, bro. I can tell you right now from looking at scientific research, when especially women, when they have a lighter body weight, there is no resistance on the bones, so the bones won't densify. So the only way to do it is through putting heavy weight on the body, which is resistance training, strength training, moving actual weight. So these products that you guys are talking about and working with will aid in the training process, which will help combat against where everybody's like Ozempic butt, Ozempic stomach. I explained to a couple clients that are on Ozempic that I train that if we do the resistance training and we hit our protein goals, you're not going to get that flabby look. Now, if you have so much fat to lose that we have sagging skin, then yeah, sometimes surgery is something you got to talk about. But if you took those people that took Ozempic and then had saggy skin and just were skinny fat, if you didn't have them on Ozempic and just did an extreme weight loss diet, a calorie deficit, they would still have the same look because they didn't do any resistance training. They didn't put enough protein in to optimize protein synthesis. So that's what I just told Sam. Just told my wife, I think it was yesterday. I said, what I love about Ozempic is those fuckers need me because they start to lose the weight. And then they say, oh, I still look like shit, but I look like I'm hanging meat curtains off of my body. So we got to build some muscle.
And that's because it turns off. And it's a place in the market for it, but it's not sustainable. It's not a long-term solution, right? It can get the car started up, but eventually you got to come refuel it with the right stuff and the right principles.
Well,
and that's proper nutrition.
You can stay on it, but they have to be taking stuff that you guys have that's giving you energy to go to the gym. They have to be going to the gym. Ozempic necessarily isn't a bad thing because it suppresses their hunger and everything. But it's the point of where you say, okay, I'm suppressing my hunger. I'm losing my weight. I like where my weight's at, so I'm not going to go train. Well, if you were taking the peptides that you guys have, maybe you would want to go train. Now that Ozempic and you staying on it isn't necessarily a bad thing. And when people say, oh, you can't keep the weight off when you get off of Ozempic. Well, you can, but you said it, Cap, earlier. They don't really understand the process of why they got down there. They just knew they ate less. So they don't really know like, oh, my calories were actually at 1,750 calories a day with 115 grams of protein. That's why I was losing weight and maintaining muscle. They just think, oh, I took Ozempic and that's why they look like shit. And so that's the thing.
And then they go back to eating 4,000.
And they go back because they get off of it. Because now you've turned your appetite off. Now your body kind of goes into shock when you get it turned back on, and it wants to kind of operate to the extreme. And now it's overeating, right? And then you bring into any problems that you have in your life, stress eating, and that's where the visual cycle happens up and down.
Well, and this is where the science is if we know this from bodybuilding. If my maintenance calories for me to maintain 200 pounds is 2,000 calories, and I come down to 1,700 and I start dropping, well, eventually that 1,700, when I drop enough, will become my maintenance calories. So now I have to have 1,700 to maintain whatever the new weight is. Well, when you're at a lower maintenance calories, that's why reverse dieting after a bodybuilding show. Because if you reverse diet, now I'll add 100 to 200 calories each week. And if I add them slow enough and increase the intensity of my training, now I can build muscle. And I've seen some athletes go 1,000 calories higher than what they were doing for their shows and only gain like 3%. No. They only gain like 3 or 4% body fat because they do it slowly over time.
Yeah, but when they do it extremely, right? When they
So if your maintenance is now 1,700 and you put 5,000, you can actually make fat cells faster because your maintenance calories are lower. If you slowly raise it and you're doing more intense workout, you can actually make it to where you're not using excess calories. But if you do them all that's how I got to 235, buddy. Right after a show, Oreos, beer, no cardio, and then I was like 215, 220, 225. So when you add them quick, your fat cells will actually get quicker. So you want to reverse diet with that. So that's why they never will be able to, if they don't understand the actual process and understand the things that are actually helping them. Like, hey, I know if I work out, I can be in better shape. But what is going to aid me in that workout? Okay, hey, these peptides help me. I got a couple clients that do the NAD shots and they like them. And I was like, if that's helping you and aiding you and getting you in there when you were missing shit before, fucking keep it in. At that point, I don't even care what the fucking science says, brother. Like if you're taking this thing and it has a placebo, if it's even a placebo effect and it's getting you in there, keep it in there. Why would you change it? That's like glucosamine for the knees. The research on it, not a lot of benefit. When people say my knees feel better when I'm taking it, I'm like,
keep taking it.
If you can afford it, keep taking it, baby.
Yes, with the right trusted advisor through right medical procedure and oversight. But now people are getting this third-party market off different websites, backdoor channels. They're selling out in the street, black market, and they're doing self-injections at home. That's just a slippery slope for the masses, right? So I just believe this is a more sustainable long-term play. And if you are under medical supervision, like this could be a great addition because that energy is so important. Also that muscle mass, and also like the push through. Like I would love for you, like once you try it and look at this data, they're showing like 47% less fatigue. So I'm able to push deeper into last set in failure where I wasn't doing that 2-3 years ago. I was just going to the gym, just look good, feel good. Now I'm actually wanting to go to failure because I got the vigor and the energy through that, right? So I'm seeing like that 54% increase in performance. I'm loving just what we have here. I think we got something really powerful that can help a lot of the general pop that's struggling out there. And it's not just another like, hey, protein or just a multivitamin or fish oil, but there's some dynamic science behind this.
No, I love it, man. I love it. And I want to say thank you guys so much, man. I haven't talked to you in years, Cap. I want to say thank you so much for coming on. I would love to do this anytime you guys want, man.
Maybe we do something.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. Like